And welcome everyone to the 5th episode of the Book of Boba. I think it's it is the 5th. We've got 2 weeks left. Yeah. So the 5th episode, Spoilercast for Book of Boba Fett. I am Mitch as always. You can follow me on Twitter at 692tweets. I said that differently to how I say it on the main show, which I tend to have it more nailed down. I don't know why I said it different here.
Yeah.
I had it in the main show. I got it in my own little rhythm. Or the old rhythm. Now, for some reason here, I say it completely differently. I don't know why, but that's rambling. As always, I'm joined by Sean.
And you can join me on Marvin the Martian _12.
So, episode 5. episode 5.
I feel like I should have asked you before the show.
I mean, I like this, you not knowing, because then it has a decent conversation. I'm trying to think of the right word for this. It's very fitting. I'll say it so people can actually understand it. I won't be like English about it's fitting. I can't enunciate my T's. Yeah, it's very fitting that Mandalorian, or how do you pronounce his name? Is it Din or Jin?
Din, yeah. Dinjarian or something like that. I think
is it Din Djarin? I don't know.
Dinjarian, yeah.
It's very fitting that Mando has come in here and stolen Boba Fett's show after Boba Fett came into Mando season 2 and stole his show a little bit. Like,
a little synergy, yeah.
they're even now. Like the rivalry that I can see these two having is now even Stevens is one or square off. So but at the same time, I am exceedingly sad. The best episode of Book of Boba Fett is a Mandalorian prelude.
So far.
For season 3. It's just like, okay. And in fairness, yes, so far, the best episode of Book of Boba Fett is a Mandalorian season 3 prelude. What is going on with that one?
Backdoor pilot? I don't know. Yeah, I think... I don't know. I mean, for all I know, it's just basically them catching up Mando. It's kind of like, hey, this is where it is. I think that's how they approach that episode. It's like, this is like, you haven't seen him in a while, and this is where he is at now. Like the story so far.
It's very bookish, ironically, because it's called the Book of Boba Fett. You have your little interlude, and it's like, hey, here's all this stuff, and we're gonna have a little bit in the middle, and then we're gonna carry on going with it.
Yeah.
But no, I adored this episode.
Yeah, and
I'm very torn on the inside. So I love it for the fact that it's more. And I actively feel bad that I loved this episode because Boba Fett wasn't in it. It felt like Mandalorian season 3 had literally just started. I'm like, yay, Mando! It's like, but it's Boba Fett again next week. It's just like, I feel really bad.
This is a setup, It's a setup episode too.
Oh, it's definitely a setup. I adored everything. I loved how he hasn't got Grogu anymore, so he's devolved back into this bounty hunter again.
Yeah, I was gonna say like he's kind of went backwards in his mentality. He still has an attachment, obviously, to Grogu.
Oh yeah, I think everybody does. Seeing that little pouch, it's just like, oh my heart.
Heart little melts. Yeah, like my wife has zero attachment to anything that I watch or are involved with. Says he's like the cutest thing ever. He's like little young Yoda, less wrinkly.
That's like.
But yeah, I love the episode because of the fact that it kind of like it shows it. It almost feels like that part of the movie where you see where the guy is kind of ended up at. After seeing him from the first movie. Like he's this like heroic guy, and then now he's kind of back in that whole mentality of like kind of, I don't want to say soulless, but he's kind of cold, And
he's definitely he's definitely cold. It doesn't help as well. He's now kind of been, he's just straight up being like kicked out of that little club,
that's the sad part.
Yeah, which I don't.
I think it's interesting.
it is interesting, but I find it strange. He isn't like, well, how come Bo-Katan's out here just taking that, and Boba Fett are out here just taking their helmets off and not following along with his creed? Like, what's that about?
But hold on. Remember that even though that those are like the Armorer and Paz are and Bo-Katan and her group are Mandalorians, they are two kind of different types.
I obviously, the Armorer is more like the religious zealot side of the Mandalorians, and Bo-Katan's like, no, we take our helmets off. Like, you look at Clone Wars and everything, barely any Mandalorian keeps the helmet on. But I would have liked to have Mando question it at that when she's asking him and he's not saying anything.
Well, I think he feels ashamed when she asks that question.
Like, I mean, I get it, but it's for where he is. He's obviously not in a good headspace right now. He's missing the little clan guy, his little family, his little child. But
plus the dark blade too. You add the dark blade
plus the dark saber. Yeah, it's. I feel like lashing out at that a little bit might like.
I looked at that moment as he was like a little puppy dog, because like he is like the whole point of that show was like there was a side point of the Mando was like he was trying to find his own kind, like, and try to regroup, and like the first set of people that he finds are the Armorer and Paz and those guys, and like he kind of is like, finally somebody that is like me and I want to be a part of this.
Well, doesn't he get dropped off with them? Because I was having this conversation in Discord the other day, and I can't, like, my Star Wars stuff isn't 100%. Wasn't he founded by Death Watch or something and then raised by the Armorer?
Yeah, but like there's gonna be an interesting like revelation about the Armorer. I don't know if it's coming in the Book of Boba Fett, but like in season 3, there is going to be a very interesting telling.
Because we have no idea who she is. I know there's a couple of fan theories about she's people. I think she's someone, or the fan theory is she's someone from Clone Wars who we've seen with the helmet off.
I don't want to get it. I don't know about the theories, but I know that like the character has history with. Oh, man, how can I say this without?
I was going to say, don't go into it. I think
I don't want to spoil it. I'm not gonna
I think saying there's going to be something to do with that is enough.
Well, you can get it out. But the thing is like the Armorer is not all like who you think she is. Like she's at the beginning when she was introduced, she seemed like a very benevolent. I can never say that word.
Benevolent.
Yeah, benevolent. Like she was a very like she seemed sympathetic because she was a part of the culture that was like kind of scattered, but like there's a different side of that character that hasn't been explored but will be eventually. And like I honestly think when you see Bo-Katan the next time with Mando, I think there's going to be a different
I say there's got to be a conversation at some point with.
It's going to be a conversation.
I can understand why it wasn't in this episode with the whole, there's a certain amount of time and they had a lot to get through.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's not a Mando show. It is in fact a Boba Fett show, and Mando has his show coming out soon, or hopefully this year at some point. So I assume in December again, like so far away. But like, so I get why you'd save it for that. But I don't know, a little hint. A little little crumb
might have gone a long way.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're playing a lot of that close to the vest. I think it was more of a kind of a tidbit to kind of get people ready for what's to come. Like, because it's season 3 is gonna be huge, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying.
I'll say with how they're setting things up. Because I don't, after this, I do not believe that Boba Fett is staying on Tatooine.
It's possible.
I don't see that happening in the slightest. Purely for the fact of what they've shown in this, and that is the Night of 1,000 Tears. There's no way you don't talk about Mandalore like that and their whole like, oh yeah, you know, Mandalore's off, you know, we don't really have a thing anymore. Like, no, you're all going and you're taking it back. Like you're doing something. No.
Well, I will say that Mandalore plays a huge part in season 3.
Yeah,
huge part.
And I think that's, you know, I'm going to feel fine with keeping that in, because like you don't have the Darksaber in these shows and not do something with Mandalore.
Well, what was presented, it's like almost, you can almost put that 2 and 2 together. You know, exactly, like that Mandalore has it. It's not anything spoilerly. You know,
also when you keep bringing up the fact of like, did you win it in combat? Like, you know, you have to be able to wield it. You know, that gives you the right to rule it. It's like, okay, I get where you're taking this character. I get it.
There's going to be a lot. Like, I can't wait to see what season 3 comes out, because it's going to be almost a how do I? It's almost going to be like building the show back up from the ground up. Because like Grogu may or may not be involved with the show, season 3, but that part of that stuff is a very secondary story to what's the main crux of that season 3 is going to be about the culture and like the characters and stuff like that. And like, it's going to be very interesting to a lot of people are coming back for season 3. So,
and I assume with how this episode goes, we're getting someone else back in this show, because it's like, oh yeah, I have a space wizard to see. It's like, oh, he's coming back again, really? Are we gonna get a Luke and Boba reunion? Like, is he gonna be like, hey, you're the guy that didn't give a crap about me and knocked me into the pit? Like,
didn't you accidentally hit me into the pit?
It's you. It's your fault. You're the reason.
I think where Boba is headspace now, I think there's going to be an interesting conversation if that happens. I don't see.
I really want that conversation I'm desperate for that to happen.
I'm interested to see if he goes full on like let his animalistic side take over, or is the new Boba Fett. How
is he chilled out enough to like move past it?
But
is he zen?
By the end of this season, there's going to be a new status quo for that character, anyways.
So, 100%, yeah.
You know, like he's not going to be the Boba Fett that you knew, or
I mean, but by the reaction to people to the show at the minute, he's not the Boba Fett in general anyway, because apparently Boba Fett had an amazing, huge character from the original trilogy.
I would challenge those people. I'll challenge those people to show me proof that this character had a huge footprint in the Star Wars.
I mean, universe. All you're gonna get is the old non-canon expanded.
No, I want to see full motion. You know, like give me something tangible, man. Don't start sending me like panels of a comic that doesn't exist anymore. You always like I said at the beginning, like you have to approach this show as a building back up. Like this isn't the same character that you've seen in Empire.
This episode, I've only just kind of like realized this now. This episode just made me realize that this whole show is doing for Boba what it's just done for Mando.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest with you, I think that's what the character needed. You couldn't take the character that came from like Empire and Return and make a show about that character, because that character doesn't exist. He doesn't. There is no character to start.
I was gonna say there wasn't one.
It's literally a blank slate in those movies. It's a guy like that said a few words and looked really cool.
So in fairness, he does do I'm going to stand here holding the gun in a certain way quite a lot in this show. He does that a lot. when he stopped walking to the DMV or wherever he's going to, he does that every time. It's just his default. I'm going to stand here pose. It's like, okay, like, we get it. You're Boba Fett. That's cool.
Yeah, I always approach that this season's like growing pains for this show, man, because like by the end of the season, I think people might be roughly satisfied. I can't really say satisfied completely because
I really, my biggest fear is I don't feel like the show's going to earn whatever it's going to do.
I don't know.
That's my biggest fear, and I hope I'm wrong, but at the way it's gone so far, I'm struggling to see how it can pull it back.
Yeah, I mean,
like, you know, the next 2 episodes could be really like this level, because this was fantastic. Like, this might be like my favorite Mandalorian episode. Yeah, I just adored the whole thing. But
awesomely,
it's got a lot. This show's got a lot of work to do in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually what happens with these shows. Like the last 3 episodes usually do all the heavy lifting to get to elevate the character. Where, like, I always, like I've always said, I've said this in meetings, I've said this in public, is like, these shows don't necessarily need to be this long. You know, I think it could be pared down a little bit. You know, 6 episodes could work. You know,
6 episodes at a consistent hour is fine.
Yeah,
I think also the structure of, like, the first half is the talkie setup, and the second half is all the payoff. Like, I think that needs to be ironed out a little bit, and that's an across the board thing. That's not just a Star Wars thing. That's
I think we'll get.
I
think we'll get into like the whole show in a whole in a couple weeks, you know. But like, it has some problems that need to be ironed out, you know.
Yeah. Because it's never been more apparent than with this show, and this episode highlights that.
And I think it suffers from, like, there's a couple problems that the show suffers from. It's like, the first problem is, like, they want to show something that the fans don't necessarily want to watch, but they want to show it anyways, you know. But it, like, I don't know,
which is totally fair. That's totally fair.
It's a show that they created, and they want to do something with it. Well, and it's just like with everything else, it's like you take it or leave it, you know. Fans, I never bought into the thing where the fans own any of this. I
hate that mentality. It's like, you don't own it, you're not owed anything from this franchise. Like, you are a fan of what they create.
Yeah,
like,
you know,
they make it, you watch it, you decide if you like it or not. That does not entitle you to anything.
Exactly. I don't like that, because it's like, you know, that, to me, that's kind of playing disrespect to the people that actually physically work on this show, you know, and like that whether you like the ideas or not, it's their ideas. If you know,
if you own it, if you think you own it, then why aren't you making it better?
I firmly always think that, like, if you feel such passion about this, like, you might want to try to work on the show, you know. It's not impossible to get into doing these writer rooms. It's like,
though I don't know why anyone with that sort of mentality would be hired.
I don't think they would hire people like that, because it kind of runs into the toxicity of, like,
it's like, let's look at your social media, like, oh
no,
I'm sorry.
You know, I never like, well, if I was in charge of the show, I would do this. It's like, I mean, it's easy to say. That's a very couch, what is it? Armchair quarterback kind of mentality of it. You know, it's like, if you have a better idea, why don't you present it to the people? Like, they openly have these forums of, like, hey, if you said, like, I've known people that have gotten into writing doing that very same thing of sending stuff to them. It's just like, you know, but like, I don't know.
It's like,
just make something yourself, you know, do something that you.
There was the guy who quote fixed Luke's face from the end of Mando season 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's now working the VFX.
Yep. And it's not unheard and impossible. Or if you feel like you have a better idea, make a fan film of it. I don't know, you know, like, you know, but don't say that you do things better when you can't. Like, all talk and no show is not how you get a job, you know. Like, you know, like making a YouTube video about, like, basically degrading people that work on shows. I say that with everybody. I mean, Uwe Ball to Steven Spielberg. These are people that actually physically do stuff and put their stuff out there, whether you like it or not. They have the guts to do that, you know. Like, I don't know. To get back to the episode, like I love that, like Bryce Dallas Howard.
I was gonna say,
in her father's footsteps.
Can we give Bryce her own Star Wars?
It might be in the cards. Who knows?
As long as the NFTs aren't involved, because I noticed that, and I'm like, Bryce, you stop that right now. That you do not do NFTs in this place. Like that's if you want to get bullied, I will bully you for doing NFTs. We do not do NFTs.
NFTs sounds so cheap, man.
If you want your non-functioning testicles, you can go over there. Do not bring them over.
Is that what it sounds to answer?
Well, I mean, that's what it was before. Like,
oh, really?
Now it's non-fungible token, because even though you can absolutely funge that token, it's not non-fungible.
It's the trend of the day, you know.
Yeah. It's another pyramid money laundering scheme, and
as Rob Liefeld, yes, his idea of making.
Say, well, what more proof do you need than Rob Liefeld making an NFT comic? Yeah. But yeah, no, Bryce, she's consistently doing like the best, if not one of the best episodes for these Mandalorian shows, because I can say that because they're both Mandalorians. it's like, yeah, like, you know, I would have been happy with this episode. No, this could have been the start of season 3 and split into 2 episodes. The first half could have been about the Darksaber and the whole impact of being kicked out of like that little sect, and then the next episode could have been him building the ship. I could literally give me 2 hours of those 2 split into 2 episodes, and I would have been like more than happy.
Speaking of the ship, did you like that?
I honestly can. Part of me is still a bit shocked that he has an N1, and I keep going back to the sequel trilogy where, you know, JJ's like, I'm gonna get rid of everything from the prequels, and good reason. The prequels are garbage, but you get these shows and it's like, no, we're gonna do stuff with the prequels. Look, here's an M1 Starfighter, and it's just like, it looks so good. Now, I've always loved the Naboo ships. They are stunning.
Plus the motif of
it. I honestly can't remember the motif of the M1.
Well, I mean, like the aesthetic of the ship, it kind of looks like his armor. You know, like
I'm kind of I'm in two minds on that. I adore the way it looks, and the supercharged bit sticking out the front gave me a chuckle. It's just like I get exactly what you're going for. It's fine.
That's the Furious in space.
Yeah. I was like, is this thing gonna like just lean forward while it's going like going forward? Like, is it going to do the Dodge Charger bit from the first Fast and Furious?
I can go a quarter of a mile. I can see the line coming now. You know? But no, I love the look of that, man.
I say there's some small tweaks. There's some patchworkiness to it, and I'm like, and like I get why. Like obviously they built it together, but I'm a stickler for the clean factory look.
I miss the Razor Crest only because it's like the Razor Crest felt like it felt like a, I don't know, SUV.
Right. This is how I'm taking it, right? Because it all goes into one. The Razor Crest is like, it's a home.
Yeah,
it's his home. He's a bounty hunter. He's got his own little thing. Everything he needs is in there. Right? He's had this child. He's had to give up this child for its own sake and its own good.
Yeah.
He's now kind of going through a midlife crisis. What do guys do? He's homeless. He's homeless as well. What do guys do in a midlife crisis? You get the fastest thing you can get.
Yeah.
You get a Ferrari. He's got like the old like F40 Ferrari.
It's a Corvette.
It's a Corvette. That's what's a Corvette. Yeah. You know. No, no, because there's another ship, and I can't think for the life of me what's more. That's a Corvette in Star Wars, and that's more of a Corvette, and I can't think what it is right now. But like that thing with how it's shaped, it's a very European sort of like. Like I'm gonna get cars a little. You look at like American cars; they're boxy. Like you get your X-wings, like they just literally boxes and points, and everything's blocky. Whereas you get the N1, and it's all curves, it's all lines, and it's just
it reminds me of an Aston Martin, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more like your Ferraris, your Lambos, maybe a Porsche. I suppose it could be a Porsche in the way it looks at the front, but that's like the more European style of cars that we have, like supercars we have. I could just say it's a McLaren. I adore McLarens, but it's very. It feels more like that sort of that sort of a styling than like your Corvettes with your Dodges and all this sort of stuff. Like I could not think of what what ship in Star Wars reminds me of that. I know there's something that's like.
I know there's a ship named a Corvette. But
I was gonna say there is a Corvette. I don't. But it's isn't the Corvette the rebel ship? I don't know where I'm getting that from. Like the first thing you see with the 9 engines or whatever.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely something sounds like a Corvette in Star Wars, and it's bugging me what it is. I might find out for next week. But like, it's a midlife crisis shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh look, you got the kiddie seat in the back, and it's like that's not going to do it. That thing.
It's not what he's going to use, man. it's all like what I feel like the ship does it like because when he had the Razor Crest, he had everything he needed in that ship.
Yeah. He was literally what's her name from Nomadland?
Oh yeah.
Oh, was it Francis
McCoy? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even name, but it's her. Yeah, like it's literally just a nomad thing. It's like, oh, I've got everything here. Like, here's my toilet, here's next to me oven, like
weapons container, But now he's like with this ship, he's kind of like it's kind of pared down to the essentials, like he can't carry I'm surprised how is he gonna fit that Viper rifle in that thing? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
It comes apart,
Yeah.
But I like it because it gives the opportunity to give you a stripped down version of that character to where where you seen him the first time, he had everything he needed. If he didn't have it on him, he could pull it out of a.
He had despite what he was doing in the place he was in, he had his life in order.
Yeah.
And everything's literally just been thrown up in the air and turned upside down because this one little kid.
And it's always because of a kid, man. It's always
it's always kids.
Every time you see like the loner in a movie get a kid, it's always turning that kid's upside down,
Yeah.
But I like where he is though. I like it because it's like he's very cold. He doesn't care. Before he would have froze that guy. Instead, he just chops him in half.
Yeah. No, he's like, hey, here's your head. It's like, oh.
And
One also told him to tongue out of himself.
I love the scene in the elevator where he's that alien is just looking at him and he's like, yeah, that's what you think it is. That's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, like, man's
it's not a picnic. It's not a picnic.
I really want to know what the armor is made because I didn't get a good look at it. I haven't actually gone back and watched it yet.
That's what that was very small for. What did he make? Like a couple necklaces,
I was gonna say it's like it looked like chains, but I honestly is it like a couple of pauldrons? I don't know. Like what's why not make him a tiny little Mando helmet? Like, come on.
Matching.
Look, everyone wants to see a Mandalorian logo. There's enough fan art of it. Just make the damn thing. The toys would be insane.
It would be the second coming of the character.
Yeah. I would jump on that hot toy. I would absolutely get a little Mandalorian Yoda.
I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad to see the spear go though. Because it was.
I'll be honest. I don't like spears. I don't know what it is. No, there's something about the way they use, the way they look. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not.
I see why though. Like he's already got the Darksaber. He's got guns. Like why have another long, something to carry around? I love the fact it kind of like it changes Mando's status quo 100% in this episode. He goes right back to being a bounty hunter, and like I think he's even colder than he was when he first meet him in the first episode.
Because he know, like, before he didn't realize he was alone. Now he knows. He's had that taste of it, and he's lost it, and he's like, how do you fill that hole?
Yeah, it's like, you can't just adopt another kid,
Yeah. There's a lot of resentment there. I think there's a lot of resentment and regret for giving Grogu to Luke. No.
Yeah. And it's sad, It's like having a foster parent take a kid from an abusive parent, and like just to have the kid grow on you, and then next thing you know, you're like, yeah.
I know someone who does that with dogs. The little halfway house, the rescue dogs, and they get attached within days. And it's like I couldn't do it. I could not be that person. Like, hats off to him, but I couldn't do that. No, that's
I would be considered the dog guy, because I would have like 100 dogs in the house.
Oh yeah. It's sleep easy. Like no one's gonna break into that house. No.
Well, you wouldn't be married. I just have 100 dogs.
God.
But yeah, can't wait to see Mando talk to Boba now. Like he's. I think Boba's amassing a pretty big. It's not like a big gang, but it's a pretty impressive gang.
Does Boba Fett know he's got the Darksaber?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he was there, right? Wasn't he?
So I can't remember because he wasn't on the ship at the end with
was he
Moff or I can't remember the guys.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he doesn't know.
So because he wasn't there with Luke. There was no like people was going. There's that meme of where Luke's leaving and Boba's arriving from the Umbrella Academy, and it's number 4 and Elliot Page. And it's just like, huh? I adore that meme.
It's funny.
I know he wasn't there at the end, but I can't remember if he had it before or after the Boba stuff.
Maybe you're right. I don't think he had it because he fought Moff Gideon on the ship, and that's how he got the Darksaber.
Yeah.
So I maybe he didn't know. Maybe he doesn't know. Like that's gonna be interesting, Like seeing that.
Because that's kind of what my brain thinks is going to happen. Like Boba doesn't know he's going to see that. He's like, no, that thing's mine. Like, sorry, Tatooine. The pikes are done. You guys owe me something. I'm going to go for Mandalore. And that's kind of where my brain's thinking this show's going to go.
Yeah,
because that would be huge, and that would fit in with what like Ming-Na Wen and everyone said. Like, this show's gonna blow your mind at the end. It's like that's kind of the only way I can see this going, because we know that Mando doesn't want this thing. You can tell the way he's trying to fight. He's trying to fight against you, that you actively using it and all that. It's just like that thing is to go at the first opportunity, and I can see someone like Boba Fett.
He tried to give it to Bo-Katan at the end of the episode.
Right at the end of season 2. Yeah. But it's interesting that he fought. He actively fought against Vizsla in this episode for it. Which, by the way, Vizsla can get out. Like that was dirty. I understand why. He's kind of like, no, that's my family. It's like I have more of a right to that thing than you ever will. My family made that thing. So I get why he kind of went.
I see him.
It's like a bit scummy move.
Yeah, like I said, I think you're gonna be. Those characters aren't like they seem like they're good people, or honorable people, face value, because of Paz saved them. The armor has forged this armor for him, but like they are. They're in a different wavelength than like Bo-Katan and like the Night Owls and stuff like that. So
they're like a gang of thieves. They're literally just a gang of thieves. There's no honor amongst them. They'll work with you until it's inconvenient.
Yeah, and don't think that's going to be revealed in this show, but it's going to be. I think you're going to see more, like I said, more of it in season 3 of the Mando series. You know, and like,
I assume it's got to come up more at some point. And Mando, how it's setting up in this show, Mando season 3 is the logical step for it.
Yeah. But it's going to be more interesting to see that conversation between Boba and Mando. You know, like, oh hey, haven't seen you in a while. Oh, you got something new.
Yeah, it's like, I know what that thing is. Give it. Give me.
Yeah,
give me.
and I never.
Because I can honestly, like, maybe not even leaving Tatooine, I can legitimately see Boba Fett getting the darksaber and being like, "We're on Mandalore right now. Like, this place is being like New Mandalore or something like that."
Yeah, I mean that's an idea too. Or we could have Boba say, "Hey, why do I have to? Why stop at Tatooine?" You know.
Yeah, he can build his own little empire up.
Yeah, I mean, like the way I feel like the series is going, it's like he is. I think he's like his his appetite's a little bit bigger than his stomach too.
Yeah, his eyes are bigger than his stomach.
Yeah, and like he is, I mean, philosophies change all the time. You know, like he might change his philosophy by the end of the season. You know, by the end of the season, like, hey.
I feel like Boba Fett starting up his own like criminal underworld empire is a really good idea for a sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Instead of repeating what we had before.
Yeah, I mean, we could kind of see remnants of what the Empire was. You know, like, you want to see what the Empire was before the Empire. You know, Boba could start that. Like, I see if he starts a criminal organization, I see it like a Red Sun type thing, where he is kind of like what was shown in Solo. I don't know. I mean,
a Crimson Dawn, you mean?
Crimson Dawn, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's going to be the natural like conclude, like the next big, like maybe even the next like sequels of movie, like actual Star Wars movies, is like the criminal underworld being the threat, not the
Empire.
Big, like these like you instead of having the two factions, you have like a third. So you have the Jedi that Rey's been building up, or whatever's been going on with that side. You have your Mandalorians, and then you have your Crimson Dawn and your all that like coming together.
And you could use the Empire in a way, but like I like to see what the Empire is like when they're on the ropes more.
I feel like the Empire's done now. You lose Palpatine, you lost the entire thing. I know you had the whole New Order, and we're not going to get rid of it. Like, interesting idea, but you made them just the Empire because the whole thing was to get Palpatine back. Like, but I feel like the Empire kind of needs to
take
have a back seat.
Yeah,
the Star Wars movies need a logo change. We've had the Rebels and the Empire logo for decades.
Yeah.
Have the Rebels or the New Republic
or use the Empire as a cautionary tale too. Like, this is what happens. Try to be bigger than like the Empire was always going to fail eventually. Like it was never going to be like they have the philosophy it's too big to fail, but it's like when you get bigger and bigger, like what the Empire was, like more problems start happening.
So you become ungainly, and you're spinning too many plates at once.
Yeah, you spread yourself out a little bit thin, and like I don't know, like it would be nice to have a change of opponents for the Rebels. I think it would be interesting to see them fight, or the Jedi fight, like just downright criminals. Be kind of.
It'd also be nice to have like Jedi properly fight Mandalorians in the movies.
Yes.
Because we never.
We were told that.
We were told it in passing. Yeah. It was never really a focus of anything. But like, we need to see that. Like, let's actually properly do it.
I think that this is the perfect opportunity to start doing that. You know,
I say that despite what I feel about this show, between this and Mandalorian, like season 1 and 2, it's a perfect like building block to get us there. Because you can have everything. Obviously, there's a time difference between the sequel trilogy and these shows, but like you can use this time to set everything up, and then you have a little time jump, and you're like, hey, the New Order's fallen, Palpatine's gone again. There's a power vacuum, as Wilson, there's always going to have, power vacuum needs to be filled. Like,
always.
I was going to say Wilson Fisk, like, no, that was literally Boba Fett who said that. Like, and then you're just like, well, hey, Empire's gone. Mandalorians are going to come back in full swing. Like, you have a surprise like that. That's how I would take Star Wars currently.
Yeah, I would love to see Mandalore at full power in live action.
Yeah.
Like, and under different, and like you can have the Night Owls opposing the Boba Fett version of the Mandalore. Like they're like a guerrilla force, guerrilla team, of I don't know, like outlaws. But like it opens up some interesting doors. If you give Boba that saber,
or if you have him take it anyway.
Or take it, yeah. I mean,
so I feel because the whole like, did you win it in combat? Like they're really wanting you to like remember the fact that he didn't really kind of win it how they think you should win it, and it's just like even if he gets to Mandalore, he's never going to be looked at as legitimate. It's like I think Boba's going to know that, and he's going to see that, and he's going to be like, I'm going to take it myself. Like,
How do you think that? I think, and like I can honestly see Boba teaming up with the armor and Paz.
I don't think that's gonna. I think maybe like a Bo-Katan. I think you get along more with them.
I don't know. I think Bo-Katan.
I think Boba's way past Selectress Mandalorian bullcrap. I don't think he's gonna play well with that.
I see Bo-Katan being more of a guerrilla force, like maybe the promise of getting the saber or getting the opportunity to get the saber and him using that to his advantage. But like, I don't see them teaming up though. Like to me it doesn't make sense. Like
I mean that's exactly why it works, right?
Yeah. Like a means to an end, I guess.
You always get the drama, it's not going to work out the best, and obviously someone's going to backstab someone.
Yeah,
and that's your inherent drama in the show.
Or like he promises something to her that it just he keeps dangling that carrot in front of her.
Yeah.
She just finally goes like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Because for all we know, Mando could give Boba Fett the Darksaber or just hand it over to him.
See, that's how I see it, though.
And he's like, you want this thing? Like, I will let you have this thing.
That's how I see Mando giving the saber over, because he doesn't. I don't think
he doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it. Yeah, he never wanted it.
Also, the idea of Boba Fett and a baby Rancor, the Darksaber, like,
Yeah. It looks like a hot toy that I want, man.
It looks like an old EU Star Wars comic cover, like.
Perfect.
Absolutely perfect. That's the Star Wars bro dream right there.
Yeah.
But this episode I thought was fantastic, and it's given me a lot of ideas for the future.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't have thought how this episode went, but yeah.
I was gonna say I see a lot of people. I don't know. I see a lot of people not liking, kind of like, I don't know.
What, this episode?
Yeah, well, no, saying it's funny to see it's a better episode than.
I mean, it is. I'll admit, I'm one of those people. It's like, hang on a minute. Like, we've at this point now where Boba Fett gave birth to Mandalorian, but Mandalorian is now more popular than Boba Fett. Like, there's a funny irony in that for me, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait till the last two
I mean, I'm not writing this show off. If we can get this sort of an episode from this show, and this is the sort of episode that it just proves that the boring, dull stuff. You can just have this Mandalorian character walk around and doing nothing, and it be really interesting and well done.
Yeah.
Not that the rest of the show isn't well done.
I think it's just like there's a lot of problems.
It's the content of it's the what's been.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to rag on the show again for the same old stuff.
Really.
It's just like so I don't want to do. I hate the fact that I had to do it. But
yeah.
It's unfortunate. So yeah, we will catch you next week for episode 6. Hopefully, this upwards trajectory goes, and Mando can elevate Boba Fett to where it should all be.
Yep. Hopefully,
so I'm fully. I know I'm always saying about expectations, but I'm fully expecting big things from these last 2 weeks. So.
You're expecting your mind to be blown, is what you're saying.
I am fully expecting that big Kinel moment. And if I'm right, if everything goes the way I said I think it's going to go in this episode, then hey, expectations met. It's a big W for me, and I'm excited for how everything else goes forward. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next week. So bye-bye.
Bye-bye.